Hello, everyone. Dr. Mad here. Let's get mad about Macbeth. So, in this lesson, we're going to look at Act 5, Scene 1. So, we're coming towards the end now. So, a short but critical scene. Lady Macbeth is going mad. She has started to sleepwalk and to see imaginary spots of blood on her hand. So, as always, let's listen to the scene first and then we'll go through it.
I have 2 nights watched with you, but can perceive no truth in your report. When was it she last walked?
Since His Majesty went into the field, I have seen her rise from her bed, throw her nightgown upon her, unlock her closet, take forth paper, fold it, write upon it, read it, afterwards seal it, and again return to bed. Yet all this while in a most fast sleep.
A great perturbation in nature to receive at once the benefit of sleep and do the effects of watching. In this slumbery agitation, besides her walking and other actual performances, what at any time have you heard her say?
That, sir, which I will not report after her.
You may to me, and 'tis most meet you should.
Neither to you nor anyone, having no witness to confirm my speech. Lo you, here she comes. This is her very guise, and upon my life, fast asleep. Observe her, and stand close.
How came she by that light?
Why, it stood by her. She has light by her continually. It is her command.
You see, her eyes are open.
Aye, but their sense is shut.
What is it she does now? Look how she rubs her hands.
It is an accustomed action with her to seem thus washing her hands. I have known her continuing this a quarter of an hour.
Yes, a spot.
Hark, she speaks. I will set down what comes from her to satisfy my remembrance the more strongly.
Out. Damn that spot. Out, I say. 1, 2. By then 'tis time to do it. Hell is murky. Fie, my lord, fie. A soldier and afeard. What need we fear? Who knows it? When none can call our power to account. Yet who would have thought the old man to have had so much blood in him?
Do you mark that?
The Thane of Fife had a wife. Where is she now? What will his hands ne'er be clean? No more of that, my lord. No more of that. You mar all with the starting.
Go to, go to. You have known what you should not.
She has spoke what she should not, I am sure of that. Heaven knows what she has known.
The smell of the blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand.
What a sigh is there. The heart is sorely charged.
I would not have such a heart in my bosom for the dignity of the whole body.
Well, well, well.
Pray God it be, sir.
This disease is beyond my practice. Yet I have known those which have walked in their sleep who have died holily in their beds.
Wash your hands. Put on your nightgown. Look not so pale. I tell you yet again, Banquo is buried. He cannot come out on his grave.
Even so.
To bed. To bed. As knocking at the gate. Come. Come, come, come. Give me your hand. What's done cannot be undone. To bed. To bed. To bed.
Will she go now to bed?
Directly.
Foul whisperings are abroad. Unnatural deeds do breed unnatural troubles. Infected minds to their deaf pillows will discharge their secrets. More needs she the divine than the physician. God, God, forgive us all. Look after her. remove from her the means of all annoyance, and still keep eyes upon her. So, good night. My mind she has mated, and amazed my sight. I think, but dare not speak.
Okay, so short scene. There's a summary again, if you want to reread it. But let's just go through it now. Fairly straightforward scene. So the doctor's saying that I've been watching with you for 2 nights, but haven't seen anything what you said. When did she last walk? And she says, since Macbeth went to war or got ready to kind of battle his enemies who are going to attack. And this is fairly straightforward. She gets up, puts a nightgown on, opens a cupboard, takes a piece of paper, folds it, writes upon it, reads it, seals it, and then returns to bed. And all this while fast asleep. And the doctor says this is a very disturbing thing in nature. In other words, to be sleepwalking, to be sleeping, but being awake. This is just poetic way of saying sleepwalking. And then he says, apart from the walking and so on, have you actually heard her say anything? And the woman says, yes, but I'm not going to say it. And the doctor says, but you can tell me, because obviously a doctor needs to know all the facts, right? Tis most meet means that it's correct, it's appropriate. And she said, no, not until I have a witness to confirm what I've heard. And then Lady Macbeth enters with a candle. Taper means candle. And the woman says, there she is. This is her usual appearance. Watch her closely. You can see she's fast asleep. And the doctor says, where did she get the light? And the woman says, it's always by her side. She's demanded that she has a light always with her. So gentlewoman, by the way, is like a servant, yeah, waiting woman. And the doctor says, look, you can see her eyes are open. And she says, but she can't see anything. He says, oh, what is she doing now? Look how she rubs her hands. And she says, yes, that's what she does all the time. That's her habit now. And sometimes she carries on like doing this for 15 minutes, quarter of an hour. And now Lady Macbeth is speaking. So she's seeing spots of blood, okay? So these are obviously imaginary, not real blood, and it's symbolism. Shakespeare is using symbolism of her guilt. She's feeling extremely guilty. She's sleepwalking. She's imagining blood on her hands. And the doctor says, look, listen, she's speaking. I'll write down what she says so I can remember. And here, so she's now speaking, and it's kind of lots of repetition and things that we have to kind of work out what she's saying, but it's fairly straightforward because, so obviously this is fairly straightforward. I mean, damned, by the way, we use it as a gentle swear word nowadays, a soft swear word, but technically it means that you're going to go to hell. Okay, if you commit a sin, you are damned, right, in Christianity, and it means you're going to hell. And then 'tis time to do it. Now, this she may be talking about before the killing, right? Time to do the killing. Then hell is murky. Well, that's very straightforward. She's saying, why are you afraid? You're a soldier. You shouldn't be afraid. And then this bit here, so her mind is jumping around all over the place, back and forth in time. And now she's saying, well, look, even if people know what we've done, nobody can do anything. We're too strong, too powerful. We are king and queen now. But here she's feeling guilty again. Who would have thought the old man to have had so much blood in him? So who is she talking about here? King Duncan. And the doctor says, did you hear that? And obviously talking about how Lady Macbeth is kind of admitting to the killing. And then the Thane of Fife had a wife. Who is this? This is Lord Macduff, whose wife was killed, and the children. Where is she now? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. Obviously, she's dead. She's in the afterlife. We don't know where she is. And then, will these hands ne'er be clean? So these lines should remind you of what Macbeth said earlier in the play. just after the killing, and another line later on even more so, which we'll talk about in a minute. And she said, no more of that, Mullah, no more of that. You mar all with this starting. What do you think she's talking about here? She's talking about Banquo's ghost, probably, okay? When the way Macbeth was behaving when the ghost appeared. And so the doctor says, oh, to the woman, you should go. You've heard things you shouldn't have heard. So they've heard about King Duncan's murder, Lady Macduff's murder, and the woman says, yes, well, she's spoken what she shouldn't have spoken. I'm sure of that. And only heaven knows what else she knows or what else she's done. Here's the blood, smell of the blood still, says Lady Macbeth. So this is interesting because visual hallucinations are bad enough, but to actually smell something which isn't there, that's probably even worse. Okay? And all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Oh, oh, oh. So this is the line I was talking about earlier. Does this remind you of what Macbeth said earlier? That's going to be one of the questions that's coming up later on. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. And also, notice here, so remember, this is a play, and you have to imagine the stage. So this is called stagecraft, how things will look on stage. So notice how Lady Macbeth, early on, you can imagine her on stage, looking up, arms spread, talking to the spirits. And even though women in those days would have been quite small, in your mind, and because of the way she spoke and berated Macbeth, she comes across as quite a big person, right? Maybe not physically, but because of her personality, she comes across as a big person. But now she's suddenly reduced to almost nothing, this little hand. Can you see? This is quite masterful language by Shakespeare. Suddenly she has been reduced from that big figure to this small, tiny woman on stage now. And also one of the contextual points, so Arabia was really famous for its perfumes in those days, okay? And the doctor says, oh, her heart is really disturbed. And the woman says, I wouldn't have that heart even if I could become queen. No point being queen if you're in that state. And the doctor says, well, well, well. And the woman says, I hope God makes things better. And the doctor says, this is beyond my cure. But he tries to find some comfort. He says, I have known people who walked in their sleep, but who actually then died quite peacefully in their beds without sin. He's hoping that this doesn't mean anything. And then, now here, she'd either be talking to herself or to Macbeth. So wash your hands off the blood, put your nightgown on, don't look so pale. And now it's Banquo she's talking about. Banquo's buried, he can't come out. And the doctor says, can that be true? So in other words, he can't believe it. First King Duncan, now Lady Macduff, and now admitting Banquo's murder as well. And this is fairly straightforward. To bed, there's knocking at the gate. So lots of repetition. So this repetition is mirroring how the mind behaves when it's disturbed. Okay, it starts to ruminate. Ruminate means when you constantly obsess over something, and normally it means that your thoughts are the same thoughts are going over and over in your head. So that is being matched literary in terms of literary devices by this repetition by Shakespeare. And the doctor says, will she go to bed now? And the woman says, yes, she will. And the doctor says, oh, there's these rumors going around about all the killings. Yes, we heard that before as well in the previous scenes. And he's saying, well, if you commit unnatural things, so like obviously murder, then that's going to cause unnatural things like sleepwalking and hallucinations. And this is just another poetic way of saying, so death pits of pillows is obviously means sleep. So he's talking about the sleepwalking. She's sleepwalking and giving away her secrets. And he says she needs more of a priest, more of a religious person than a physical doctor. God forgive us all. He says, look, just look after her, take away anything that annoys her or disturbs her, just keep an eye on her. Good night. And he's saying, so mated means checkmated, defeated. He says, I don't know how to explain this. But he says, I've got theories, but I don't dare say them out loud. And she says, good night, good doctor. Okay, so it's up to you. So here's a quote, here's a spot. So from those words that she speaks earlier on, you can learn any quote you want, really, as long as it reminds you of this scene, so you can reference it in your essays. Very, very critical scene. Obviously, it would depend on the question, but very, very important scene. And repetition here. And I told you about this word damned. What does it mean? Technically, it means that you're going to go to hell. Okay? It's not just a little, nowadays we just use it as a little swear word. And here we have hyperbole. Sorry, I've given you the answer there. Never mind. So these are the questions. Why is Lady Macbeth behaving like this? And what technique is being used? And what words from Macbeth does it remind you of? So that I haven't told you. So pause the video and answer these questions, in particular these two here. I'm going to go to the next slide with the answers in 3, 2, 1, and going. So obviously it's extreme guilt causing this behavior. Hyperbole is used. And do you remember these words from Macbeth? Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? So same thing, but just using different imagery. Okay, so there you go. A short but very important scene. I hope you found that useful. And if so, please don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends. And I will see you in the next slide, in the next scene.